and then also we'll be recording this session. I want to give you a little bit of background, if I can share some pictures here. What we were doing, my wife and I, several months ago, were eating at OV Diner, and we saw a picture of the roller coaster in OV. And it's the same picture of the OV roller coaster that I've seen at Coaster Coffee, at half a dozen other places. And it just kind of struck me that something that's not even there anymore is still so influential in forming like Norfolk's identity. And you think about all of those special businesses that have made Norfolk special and really contributed to their neighborhoods. And so I thought, wouldn't it be fun to do a session that has half history, that looks at some of those historic businesses, but then looks at some of those business people that are making a difference today. I'll show you some few slides of some of those businesses. Of course, that's been a big one, influencing a lot of jobs over the years, going back to 1875, the shipyards. Norfolk Stationery goes back to 1902. That's been a long time. They've moved a couple times. Of course, the taxi business goes back 50 years, and Judy's been a contributor to the 5 Points area, and I think ODU, longtime supporter of local businesses. We can't forget Doumars, and that's the critical piece of Norfolk's history that they form. Always a good place that's a great looking crew there, isn't it? That's our team plus Kiernan at Doumars. And you look at some of the businesses today that are making a difference. Sweet Jams, they do, prior to COVID, they did a big Christmas thing downtown for kids at the local elementary school, and did a big dinner and gifts and books and those kind of things, who are just really invested in their neighborhoods. I see Sherry's here tonight. Her business, and she's constantly helping in her neighborhood, and helps run the food pantry at the Colonial Heights Church. And of course, we have DJB with us this evening, won one of our Uplift Awards for his community involvement. And so we're very grateful to have all these kind of businesses in our area that are shaping Norfolk's identity. Cut that off for a little while. I did ask Mr. Charles Cooper if he could come, and so let me run through the agenda. He wasn't able to do that, but we were successful in getting Troy Vallis from Slober Library to give us like a rundown of some of those historical businesses. Mr. Cooper couldn't come, but I did get a 5-minute video from Mr. Cooper about the OV amusement park that was out there, and some of his memories. I've asked Keith McEachin. His family had the Plaza Hotel on Church Street. And I was having a conversation with Earl Fraley, who's chairman of the Planning Commission, about some of those old businesses, and he mentioned Church Street. So I thought it would be good to look at some of those memories. And then we'll pivot halfway through to how local businesses are making a difference today. And again, DJB is with us to talk about his business and why they're making a difference in the Park Place community. So we'll get started with Troy. Go ahead and take the floor if you want.
All righty. So first of all, I'm Troy Vallis. I'm the Special Collections Librarian here with Norfolk Public Library, but located here in the Slober Library. So I've been here 17 years. And so, of course, Charles will know me, but they affectionately call me the Bloodhound. So anything and everything about local history, if I don't know it, I will find it. So, so tonight, obviously, want to share some of our, of course, had some of the ideas like, okay, Doumars and such, but also want to show some of the other businesses here that made an impact. Sometimes they were short-lived, but sometimes they were here. But yeah, this doesn't, there's so many businesses 30 years that made a real big impact, but so it's hard to pick one or two or three within for 10 minutes. But let's do a little PowerPoint. We always love pictures. Damn it. All right. So some little historical vignettes. So the special businesses. For those that are along Hampton Boulevard. Grace Pharmacy is probably the one that everybody remembers. With it being like right there across the street from Old Dominion. But when it started, it was in the middle of nowhere. When W.F. Gray and his son built the initial pharmacy, it was basically the boonies, 4 miles from downtown, which was, quote, the city, and 2 blocks from the county line, but in 1918. So Larchmont wasn't being formed yet. Of course, the college, Old Dominion, was not there. So it was literally basically a little stop on the way to the naval base. And actually, even the naval base was just forming because it was formerly the Jamestown Exposition. So, but people in the community used this as stomping ground, one for pharmacy, but also they had a lunch counter. Students could go there and research or just sit down and work on papers and such. But so it started in 1918, and then finally, just the pressures of the big name stores finally closed down 2016. So the second one, is actually the House of Hoffman. If you're ever down, or I should say going up Granby Street, and you're right there around the Granby Theater, and you go across the street on the east side of the street, you may notice in the past this advertisements that were painted along the side of the building, and it's the House of Hoffman. And their big thing was the midi blouse. So I'll show you in a second. And the sailor suits from the 1910s, 1920s. And it was actually started by a Norfolk native, Marcellus Hoffman. Let's see. So he's born and raised here. He was actually, his parents, one was German, one was from New York. And he went into the tailoring business and established a business in 1902 where he was making ladies' clothes and was actually doing it by mail order. So you'll see there on the right-hand side some of the catalog that he would send out. But what he really struck it rich with was creating the naval uniforms for the non-commissioned officers and the general sailors. So the design of the Navy uniform, he's turned it over for a female version, and it just went big time. Went all over the country. He was getting to a point where selling it to Great Britain, Canada, France, Europe, rest of Europe. And he moved from the Granby Street over to Monticello Avenue, where, if you remember where the Mary Jane Bakery was, that building was initially his building that the bakery took over once his company collapsed. So he started in 1902. By 1921, he moved onto Monticello Avenue, and it was 18,000 square feet. He employed 150 to 200 people in the factory, and it was just turning out all these midi blouses and dresses and suits. Unfortunately, he died young at 46 in 1926. So he probably would have made much more impact if he lived into his older years. But that is definitely a Norfolk product that took the world by storm. And the last one that I have for now is Garretts and Company. Over in Berkeley, they had their factory there at the foot of Chestnut Street, and uh, they moved the company in 1903. It initially came out of Halifax County, North Carolina, with some of the roots going back to the 1830s. But with prohibition starting to creep into North Carolina counties, they moved their operation to Berkeley. And by 1912, between 1912 and 1916, when prohibition hits, they finally had to move their operations north to Brooklyn and New York as well. But his big thing was that he, again, took a small business, and his primary beverage was bottling wine, which he would call it the Virginia Dare. They also had the Princess Pocahontas and one other. But he also, by the time he got he left Norfolk, he had contracts east of the Mississippi. We're basically talking like Coors Light, Anheuser-Busch level of business. And he's actually noted for starting the singing commercials for wines with his saying, "Say it again, Virginia Dare." Um, and then sometimes, actually, close this out. Get this. Stop sharing. And so there's pieces of examples of Norfolk connections. This is actually let's see, 1 gallon, probably growler that the Virginia Dare would be sold in. But I know it's clear glass, but it's all sorts of grapevines and grapes. But yeah, so you'll see this with others, like the Norfolk Coca-Cola plant. It'll say bottled in Norfolk. So at least for tonight, those are the three other businesses that sometimes you don't hear about, or that made a major impact on this area, and a lot of them did start here.
Wow, I had never heard of any of those three, so that was very helpful. Are there any questions for Troy? Okay, and your offices or the Sargent Memorial Collection is open Tuesdays and Thursdays right now. Is that what I remember? Okay. Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can access they're at the Slover Memorial Library on the second floor of the old section. Um, they're very helpful up there. There's lots of resources. You can look at old city directories and find out all kinds of interesting things about your neighborhood. And they're always willing to help. Was that a good commercial, Troy?
Jim, I
Okay.
don't have a question for Troy, but I just wanted to say thank you for sharing all that history. That was very fascinating. And it was especially fascinating to me when you talked about Gray's Pharmacy, because I am an alum of Old Dominion University. And a part of my time there is that I worked in the library throughout my college career. And one of the responsibilities that I had to do is go to Gray's Pharmacy to pick up various newspapers from the pharmacy to add to our periodical collection. So that was just very interesting for me to hear.
Thanks, Denise. Any other comments or questions? All right. Again, we weren't able to get Mr. Cooper, but we do have a short video. It's 5 minutes long, just on some of his history that he remembers. He gave me about 30 minutes, and I'll eventually edit that and put it on YouTube. I only wanted to use about 5 for this evening, just to keep it moving, but I'll make that available at some point after probably this week. But let me share that.
My name is Charles Cooper. The Cooper family owned the Ocean View Amusement Park in Norfolk from 1942 until it closed in 1978. The park in its heyday was 3/4 of a mile long, which is about 7 or 8 city blocks long. But the original park was created by what we call a traction company. And a traction company is a trolley car company, and the trolley car company is an electric company, and therefore it was owned by the electric company. And the local electric company, or the statewide electric company, was called the Virginia Electric and Power Company, and it was always referred to as VEPCO. And the reason the amusement park is located here is that people stayed home on Sundays. They went to church and they went home and had their big lunch and so forth. And the electric company wanted to make use of their trolley cars on Sunday. And so they built, and it's not just here, but it's all over the country, that the trolley car companies built amusement parks at the furthest location down. In this case, it's the end of Granby Street at Ocean View, so that they could charge fares on Sunday, and therefore it would continue to make money all week long. The original park was built around just after the turn of the century. It was relatively modest, but by World War I and in the 1920s, it extended to its present dimensions. It was a major attraction for the city of Norfolk for this whole period of time in the 1930s, but because of a big hurricane in 1933, which destroyed a lot of the park, and then the Depression during the 1930s, the park closed down in 1937, and it was fallow. In 1942, my father, Dudley Cooper, who was very much, although he was an optometrist, he was very much involved in commercial real estate. And he was told that that the Ocean View Park property was for sale. Well, actually, what happened was the Navy came to him, and because they were concerned about, they wanted some wholesome activity for sailors during the Second World War. They were having problems down in the Main Street area with bars and more nefarious things going on down there. And so they asked him if he would open up the park and run it again. Well, as far as I was concerned, it was the most wonderful plaything in the world. My parents gave me, I think it was 60 cents or 75 cents, and I could go down, take the trolley car, which was 15 cents, go down and ride all the rides for free. The restaurants again were operated by this Carnival family, and that wasn't for free, so I had to pay for lunch. And one day, I got very hungry, and in addition to my regular lunch, I ordered a 15-cent soft ice cream cone. So when I got to the trolley car to take home, then I ran short of money. I got on the streetcar and I said to the conductor, and it was hot and sweaty, and the people jamming on. I said, "I'm Dudley Cooper's son." He says, "I don't care whose son you are, son. If you don't have 15 cents, get off of my trolley." Well, I got off, and then I walked all the way from Ocean View to where we lived in West Ghent. Probably took me about 2.5 hours. And when I finally showed up at my house, after my parents were so relieved for, they gave me hell. They said, "Why didn't you go in the office and tell them who you were?" They knew who you were, and get another 15 cents. It never occurred to me.
That's just a short clip of some of the information. He had a lot of information to share, a lot of background information. Again, I'll put the full video on YouTube at some point when I get time to edit it. They also found out they own the Seaview Amusement Park in Virginia Beach, and one other one that I didn't realize in the area. So moving from Ocean View to Church Street, we have Keith McEachin here. His family owned the Plaza Hotel on Church Street, and so I asked him to share some of his memories, and I can put up some pictures if you want, Keith.
Yes, that'll be fine. Okay, just sharing about the Plaza Hotel, which was my mother's business located on Church Street. She actually opened up a bar and grill called the Shalimar on Monticello Avenue in 1947. That was the first business venture. When she got to the Church Street, to the hotel, she was doing big things then. Entertainers were coming to town. Kids were running down the streets of Huntersville to meet the buses to get autographs. She also, coming to Norfolk in 1935, she wasn't used to racism until she got to Norfolk. She always told me that. So she had to, change things the way she was doing things to get used to racism, because it was something she never knew until coming here. A lot of the hotels, which were downtown Granby Street, when the entertainers would come, they had to sleep on the buses because they didn't cater to Blacks at that time. Their managers could stay at their hotels, but they had to sleep on the bus. The entertainers did. So when she opened up the hotel, her motto was just a little bit different. So it was known to many of the entertainers as their home away from home. They enjoyed the hospitality, the good times, playing music, even making songs right in the dining room of the hotel. When the hotel was full, certain entertainers like Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Count Basie, most of them mainly stayed in the house at the home in Lindenwood. So that's where they stayed when they were in town. But the hotel was a neighborly atmosphere, very community oriented. Each year she would put on a Valentine's Day party for all the children in the neighborhood. Some of the pictures that you just saw were pictures of the kids that were lined up for going to the circus. She would take the kids to the circus each year. And Norfolk Motor Company, which was on Monticello Avenue, they would donate their vehicles. These are all the kids right here. They would donate the vehicles to transport the kids to the circus every year. One other thing that a lot of people have not heard about, and I almost forgot it myself, but she also created the Bonnie McEachin tennis trophy. That was given to a student every year. I'm not sure if it was high school or junior high school, but it was to promote school activities and school sports. So it was given to a student each year who excelled in sports or tennis, mainly tennis, I would think it was, to help promote them into activities and community involvement there. So those are most of the things that, other than with the businesses, I would say the businesses were basically, everybody was hospitable to each other during that time. They were very neighborly. People catered to each other. It's a lot different than it was today. So I would say that. But a lot of the big name companies like Rice's, Nachman's Department Store, Smith and Welton, Lerner's, those shops that were down on Granby Street, they would always come to the Plaza Hotel to host their Christmas parties in the club room of the hotel. So she did a lot of catering of the banquets or dinner parties for the larger businesses, and those were white businesses too. So she did not discriminate. It did not matter race or creed. That's how she was. That's how she lived her life. And, she was the vice president of the Norfolk Community Hospital. She was also the past granddaughter ruler of the Ladies Auxiliary of Elks. She was very involved in the First Baptist Church, Butte Street in downtown Norfolk. And in 1955, she was nominated as the Hotel Woman of the Year. So as one of the best hotels in the state of Virginia. So
This is a great picture here, Keith. What's going on here? Is there a story behind that?
this is actually one of the children from my church. She laughs every time I show this picture of her. But I don't know if you know the Sears family. They lived in Huntersville. They had a store in Huntersville that sold postage stamps and little odds and ends in the store, but it was the Sears family. This is one of their children or grandchildren, I would say. Her name is Estelle Sears Thomas. And this was one of the events that was at the hotel, I believe, when the kids were coming to either the Valentine's Day party or either preparing for the going to the circus. So, and that was in the dining room of the hotel right there.
Oh, that's great. I love it. And
Yeah.
is this picture again, is that going to the circus?
Yes, that's going to the circus. Those are the cars from the Norfolk Motor Company lined up right on Church Street, right at the corner of 18th Street. So that's right in front of the hotel. And she's putting the kids in the cars to go off to the circus.
So do you have any special memories? I mean, what was your favorite thing about having your mom own a hotel?
Well, I guess my special memories is just the history behind it and knowing that she made a difference during that time. And even today, in posting pictures or putting things on Facebook, when people comment and they'll, say that, oh, my mom worked at your mother's hotel. She worked in the switchboard, or, just those memories like that, they mean a lot to me. Because even though she's been deceased now since 1996, it's good to know that people remember her legacy and what a great legacy it was. And, I just hope that we will get back to doing those type of things and being the way. I know with all the things that are going on in these times today, I wish we could get back to that, being more neighborly and treating each other right, just being a little bit different.
Well said. Am I allowed to quote you on that, Keith?
Yes, you can.
All right, very good. Any other memories? I was talking to Earl and I wanted to include some of the Black-owned businesses on Church Street, and one of the things he told me is that there weren't many. There were like 7 theaters or several theaters, and most of them were owned by whites. So this is one of those special businesses that was actually owned Black-owned, which is encouraging for that time. Any other memories of Church Street that you you don't remember?
Most of the memories that I know, of course, they came after the entertainers, but just like you see those buildings across the street in that picture you just had up, I remember all of those. There was an apartment across the street. I remember the garages that used to be lined up down Church Street because there was the ABC store was right next door to the hotel. How convenient. You know, and then you had like 4 or 5 garages all the way down to the corner. And on the corner, I remember was AC Ducey with Simpkins was right in the middle, kind of, sort of. And of course, when you got to the next block, you went into Graves Funeral Home, and there was Holly's Florist, and you know, a couple other businesses on down. So I remember, you know, most of that because that was during the 70s. So most of those businesses were still operating during that time, the early 70s. I can remember that. I just don't remember the entertainers coming in. You know, I've seen a couple that have come, you know, the BB King, you know, we went to see him when he came to town. He's probably the only one that was probably still alive during that era. So, but you know, I have pictures and I have a lot of paper clippings and write-ups on it. So, and I like to share my history.
Well, we're very grateful for it. One more question from me, and then we'll open it up to other people. What was you may have said it, and I didn't write it down fast enough. What was the intersection, the nearest intersection where your building was, or the hotel was, and what's there today?
Okay, it was at the corner of Church Street and 18th Street.
Okay.
So right where the it's set right where the new lanes were placed going towards downtown, because it was a little closer to those 2 lanes weren't there. It was just a 2-lane road. So it sat right at the corner, and there was a service station right across the street on the other side of 18th Street. There was a service station there.
Okay. Good to know. Any questions for Keith?
Hey,
How
Keith.
big?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just wondering how many rooms did the Plaza Hotel have?
The Plaza Hotel had 35 rooms. It had a dining room, the lobby area, the kitchen, and the banquet room, which we call the club room. That's what it was called back then. So, but it was 35 rooms.
Do you have any?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask if you had any pictures you could share with Jim that we could see some pictures of those areas. I would be.
I do. I'll get those to him.
Mr. Charles or DJB, I think I saw you had questions.
Yeah, I do. Not a question, just a comment. On the subject of history, we heard from the Cooper. Now we're hearing from the hotel, the Plaza. The possibility of having markers to remember those sites. That's what I'm very concerned about. And I've spoken about, and so far on Church Street, there's only 1 marker for a business. There may be a second one coming up. But I think we need to have more historical markers of the businesses around the city of Norfolk, like the Ocean View Park and like the Plaza Hotel, so people can know where they are and know something about their history.
Well said. Good idea.
Good.
And DJB, did you have a comment or question?
It was answered.
Oh, very good. Any other questions for Keith?
Oh, yeah. What are you on Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook is just my name, Keith Page, Paige, McEachin. And I do have a page for my mother too. It's Bonnie Estelle McEachin. So I have a remember too.
Wow. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate that word.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, thanks again, Keith. And you can certainly see in how your mom rubbed off on you and your community involvement and your willingness to help out. It's always impressive to me to find out where people get their sense of community involvement, and you can often see it in people like your mom. So thank you very much. DJ B, you're up next. Any BB King in your collection?
Yeah, I got a few vinyl.
All right, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But if you're not familiar with DJ B, he's with Freshtopia and in Park Place. He came to our attention through the Uplift Awards. He was nominated for their involvement, not in the past, but in the present, in terms of bicycle rides and all that they do, especially during COVID and what they were doing to activate the community and get people involved. So we're pivoting toward the present and the future now, and we wanted to talk to him about, ask him a few questions. So, tell us about yourself and why you started Freshtopia.
Oh, how you doing? Thank you for having me, first of all. My name's DJ B. I'm originally from Philadelphia, moved to Norfolk in 96. Yeah, 96. Off and on. So I've been here longer than I thought I would be, and I am happy I'm still here, and I think I'm done. I'm not going anywhere. I love it here. So it's dope because I'm learning, like every day I learn something new about Norfolk. I grew up in Philadelphia, and Philly has its history, but it's so great to learn about Norfolk, and it's stuff that I didn't even know about. Like, I heard about the amusement park, but didn't know the history behind it. I didn't know about the Plaza Hotel. Like, every city has a Plaza Hotel story, and your mom, Keith, your mom was the story. That was so good to hear. So that's why I asked for your Facebook. I just wanted to see more about that. I wanted to learn more about that. But Freshtopia. So the reason why I ended up in Norfolk, Virginia, was I was trying school. School, Norfolk State, but school's not for everybody. But at least I tried. It wasn't for me, honestly. It just wasn't for me. I ended up, my first job here was Sewell's Point Golf Course. That's how I ended up getting into golf. So I met, and I worked as a groundskeeper, and some of the people I worked with was they was just retired Navy, and they just either didn't want to be home with their wife for a certain amount of time, or they just was bored, just wanted to do something. So I got to learn about the military a lot, and just learn about different backgrounds, and obviously picking up the game of golf. Well, I was also DJing, and I was DJing in the club in Newport News, and 3 people there were from the radio station, from Norfolk's WOWI 103 Jams. It was like, we like the way you play, would you want to be on the radio? And I didn't believe them. I was like, okay, whatever. Well, they was like, this was Thursday. Friday, it was like, meet us at the radio station. And at the time, it was where it's at now, Norfolk Square, behind the POC, Police Operating System Center. I'm sorry. They said, meet us there at 12 at noon. And so I did. And that night I was on the radio, and this was 1997, and I'm still on that radio station. I left and moved to Baltimore for 2 years. It did radio in DC and Baltimore, but came back in 2002. So I've been on that radio station still since 2002. And in 2010, music changed, the industry changed. So instead of complaining about it, I launched my own internet radio station called FreshRadio in 2010, October 10th, 2010, and specialized in a lot of the music that we wasn't playing anymore. Of course, music took a turn, the industry took a turn. So I was like, well, I want to play Tribe Called Quest, I want to play Stevie, I want to play Michael. So that's why I launched the station. My wife and I, I've just learned everything from, how to market radio stations, how they promote. So I applied that to my own radio station, but I didn't have the capital. So what my wife and I did was come up with merch, music, t-shirts about, just music. And that would help finance the radio station. At the same time, we was using that as promotion, because they're really a walking advertisement for what I was doing. So we're heavily internet based, but trying to speed up the story. I don't want to take too long. In 2017, we had the opportunity because I was running the radio station outside of my house. That building, they just knocked down the building, 645 Church Street, I think maybe 3 weeks ago. That building, I had the opportunity to rent a space in that building. So my radio station was there until the city bought it. But I found out that 103 Jams used to be in that building before I got there. They used to be, I think, either US Radio before it became Clear Channel used to be in that building, and I was on the same floor as that building. So it was weird how that, how that turned around. The city purchased the building in 2018 after we had like a massive water leak or a pipe bust or something. So I was able to acquire a building, lease a building in Park Place on 35th Street between Newport and Colonial. And Freshtopia was a name I came up with. It was just like, if I can get away, how music takes me away, some sort of utopia. The radio station was FreshRadio, so I was like Freshtopia, and that's how Freshtopia became. So, like I said, most of our business was online, so we was able to have a brick and mortar, which also helped the online business because, hey, we trust you. You have a store. You're not just a online store. So we have our merchant here, also the radio station here. And I recently moved, and I had to move all my records out my garage to storage. So I was like, I got a lot of records that I'm not going to use. Let me put some in the store to sell. Then people was coming to me, you buy records? Sure. Then I had a DJ friend that passed. His wife said, come get his stuff out of our house. He would want you to have it, put it in your store. And then all of a sudden I became one of 34 Black owned record stores in the country. And that's right here in Norfolk, right here in Park Place. And during the pandemic, I was able to stay open and operational because I was in media, because I was still, I'm still at the radio station. So now I do my radio shows for iHeartMedia, 92.1 The Beat and 103 Jams here from the store, also run my business and my radio station here from the store. So during the pandemic, I was still able to be open. I have computers here. So, because when it's, in March of 2020, everything was new. We didn't know what was going on, but we knew people didn't have access to the libraries was closing. People didn't have internet access or ways to, just communicate with other people. So we had the opportunity to stay open and then provide internet access for some of the community here in Park Place. And real quick about the bike rides, we started a bike ride when I opened the store in 2019 on Bike Month, which is May. So every Saturday since then, we do a bike ride, a casual cruise around Norfolk through the bike lanes and the Elizabeth River Trail. So that sums up what I do here.
Oh, that's great. That was my next question is you won an award for community involvement. And so I was going to ask about that. You've already described. Anything else you do for the community?
Whatever. It's media. I'm in media. So if, the president of the Park Place Civic League, Mr. Charles Johnson, if anything he needs, it's great that he could just come right here, say, look, we got this going on. Can you help get the word out? That's one thing. The kids, they know, like, if they need help with their bikes, they stop here, and they know it's safe to come here, and it's beautiful. And we have our bike ride is super diverse, so we have a lot of people from different backgrounds, different creeds coming to the bike ride, and welcome them to Park Place to see how beautiful Park Place and 35th Street is.
Wow, wonderful. Way to sell your neighborhood. We love it. The next question is, look, Mr. Johnson, the next question is, like, you're an entrepreneur, you've done this, what is it that you would like other businesses to do? Like, if you had a chance, if you could wave a magic wand, what would you like other businesses to do and difference that you would like them to make?
it's I'm still learning because the times we, these are times where it's all new. So we're still learning. As far as, you can't have too much, close personal interaction with our neighbors as much as we like to. But I would like to definitely see, especially in on 35th Street, like this is I think it's the last Black business district. Definitely in Norfolk. I don't know about the 757. I would love it for it to thrive. I would love this to be a destination place. We're as a record store, we're definitely a destination place. But which is beautiful is that we have the bike lanes here, so people ride through and end up seeing the store. And I'm here all the time, so I'm always open. So it's like, oh, they stop in, and I get to educate them on what we do here. But I would definitely like to see other businesses just really operate. We've seen a lot close. We've seen a lot try to open and not be able to open. And just, I think really just with communication with all the businesses throughout the whole Hampton Roads area, everybody get together and just try to help figure it out. Because I'm open for suggestions. I wish I had the answer to that question right off top. I don't know. We're winging it, and we're learning from the journey and just trying to survive like everybody else. Yeah.
Well, you're doing a great job. Last question from me. Where do people find you? Like you mentioned 35th Street, like if somebody wants to come to your store or look you up on the internet or social media, how do they find you?
All right. Physically, I am on 35th Street, 532 West 35th Street, Park Place, between Newport and Colonial Avenue. I am here all the time. I promise you, I'm here all the time. Online, you can find us at FreshtopiaVA.com. Also, the radio station, Fresh Radio. It's FreshRadio.com, and I have apps for all the platforms except currently the iOS. Since the new updates, I got kicked out. It's a process to get back in, unfortunately, but I am working on that. And if you have an Alexa device, you could tell my age by this, but if you say, "Hey Alexa, I want my Fresh Radio," if you used to watch MTV, that was the saying. So if you say, and hopefully I don't set your Alexa off right now if I say it, but if you say, "Alexa, I want my Fresh Radio," that is the skill to listen to Fresh Radio on an Alexa device. And social media at Freshtopia VA for everything, and at Real Fresh Radio for the radio station.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Very good information. Wonderful. Other comments or questions for DJB?
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you again. We appreciate your time and for all you're doing. It's really inspiring, for us to hear in our office what you're doing, in so many other businesses like you that, you get tired of all the greedy big corporations, but you see people like you that are really making a difference, and it really is inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you. That's what started Freshtopia and Fresh Radio, because like iHeart is like the #1 media company in the world. And as we grew up with radio because we didn't have all these devices. So radio was like really, our way to get information for free. And I missed that feeling, and that's what made me start this. And it's good to be in the actual neighborhood, and it's good to see the reaction of people's like, "Yo, this is a radio station," and that's a good feeling. And I think that helps. It inspires people in some weird way. It can inspire people. So it's a pleasure. So I just want to thank the community. Thanks Park Place. Thanks because the Civic League took a chance of me bringing a radio station to the neighborhood. It was like a radio station, and they believed into me. So Mr. Charles Johnson, thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Well, thanks again. Next up, we have LaShonda and Chantel from Economic Development. One of the things that DJB said earlier was that he didn't have capital. So is there anything you all can do about that for small businesses looking for it?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for having us here. Just excited to hear about the stories and all the history and rich opportunities that we have here in Norfolk. This community is ripe and there's a lot of changes coming down the pipe, and we're really excited to be able to bolster our entrepreneurs in 2021 and beyond. So just want to share a little bit of resources along with my colleague, LaShonda Hall here this evening. So just tell you a little bit about what we're up to these days in business creation and entrepreneurship. So our goal is to empower entrepreneurs, of course, to successfully steward business ownership and operation here in Norfolk. And so our programs are intended to provide end-to-end business development solutions that'll help you kind of have a step-by-step toolkit from ideation to revenue generation. We get calls and information requests from all types of people in all types of industries, and we're really just that connector, looking to make the resources and the opportunities come together at one time. As a result of our program, Norfolk's businesses and business owners are hopefully more aware of the access and have more access to our full suite of opportunities as far as services, incentives, talent, and expertise to help them grow their business in Norfolk and beyond. So a couple of our initiative pillars. First of all is our entrepreneur self-serve. So we've just launched recently a website, StartGrowBiz.norfolk.gov. And that is your one-stop shop for all kinds of things related to launching, growing, maintaining a business, from getting your business license, working to city planning. If you have training needs that you'd like to see from the department, all of these things are accounted for on that website, as well as spotlighting our entrepreneurs. So we love to hear stories like what we heard about today and feature that so that Norfolk business owners have just that much more grassroots opportunities in the community. Secondly, we have our technical assistance clinic, which you may or may not have heard about. We have a couple of different resources geared specifically to Black and Latinx micro entrepreneurs, helping them connect with service providers. So a lot of these businesses are more survival businesses or hustle businesses, and they need that infrastructure, right, to put them in place with the official, business consultant who will help them identify a business model, an accountant to make sure that their bookkeeping and everything is in order. And then, culminating in more of that media, marketing, and web development space to help get the word out and expand their business. So we've got some programming on that side. And then we're working with neighborhoods. You all have so graciously invited us to join this call and continue collaborating with the business community at the neighborhood level. So we're working on putting together business association toolkits so that we can help entrepreneurs and communities work together in helping the business commercial corridors grow. Like what we have in 35th Street, there are other, just micro communities in the Norfolk area that look for ways to collaborate. So we're definitely excited about sharing that soon. And then finally, what you were asking about specifically, everybody wants to know about the money. We do have some resources that we've had over the past few years, most familiar with the Capital Access Program. That includes, some grant and loan opportunities that will be refreshing over the holiday season. And so we'll have some new opportunities coming forward in the spring as far as opportunities to get some funding in your business and help grow. And we'll be sure to communicate that with neighborhoods and the other stakeholders so that we have that word out in the community. In addition, sorry, I lost my information here. Just to give you a little bit of context on what our business service offerings are, in addition to all the kind of small business resources that I just highlighted, our department does a variety of other things, including business retention and expansion. So helping to reach out to businesses in target industries, help them connect with their communities. Providing assistance to maybe international companies who want to move into Norfolk, or businesses that want to have a more international presence, and helping them with exporting. We also assist with city process, helping you get, conditional use permits or any sort of documentation that you might need on the planning side to get any changes in expanding businesses. And then we'll also help facilitate major project coordination. So just providing assistance to developers and people who need interdepartmental coordination, permitting, utilities, and things of that nature. I will turn it over to LaShonda to tell you a little bit more about those business resources and what else we have available, some success stories.
Sure. Thank you so much, Chantel, and thank you so much, Jim, for inviting us. Just to pick up where my colleague left off as far as economic development and the resources that we provide, we are so excited about the recently launched small business website. And as part of that, we're also able to help with the marketing and promotions of businesses, as far as being able to spotlight your business on the homepage, as well as using our monthly newsletter to get the word out, to let everyone know that you're open for business and what services that you provide. As well as we have real estate assistance, provide assistance locating and securing available property and building, whether it's a public property or whether it's a privately owned facility. We want to ensure that you're in the right location to grow your business. We also provide economic impact analysis and specialized research assistance. And what that does is we provide market analysis to assist your business in determining the best location for your business based on the demographics and, of course, the spending habits of the population surrounding their desired location, as well as market analysis to help businesses to understand the local and regional supply and demand of the certain occupations of, as far as like the range of the wages and also the giving the occupation. And as my colleague Chantel stated, of course, our small business initiative, where we continue to provide the training, workshops, technical assistance. And as part of that, of course, we recently created a technical assistance clinic, what we call the Norfolk Small Business Technical Assistance Clinic, where we received a grant through the Rockefeller Opportunity Collective to provide direct technical assistance to Black and Latinx micro business owners with 5 or fewer employees. And the purpose of this program is to connect business owners with a professional service provider in 4 of the categories. We talked about accounting, business consulting, branding and marketing, and also, of course, website development and e-commerce. So those are some of the resources we have. And of course, we know the Norfolk Works, the workforce solution, which is also an arm of economic development. And it offers an assistance in the areas of recruiting, training, hiring, and incentives, as well as connecting businesses to new talent pools as far as colleges, workforce centers, and also those that are transitioning from military as well to help them to come out into the workforce. And so before I close, I wanted to share a success story that we have for our technical assistance program. We have a business owner, Jacqueline Staples. She's the owner of Gifts from the Heart. And this business is a home-based business. They create custom gifts for all occasions. And it was a business that she started with her mother, but she wanted to continue on with this business after the passing of her mom. And so when she creates these baskets, she says she creates them definitely from the heart. And what she needed a little bit of assistance in branding and marketing to expand her reach of her target. And so she reached out and we connected her with a professional service provider in branding and marketing. And since that time, she's been able to get a fresh logo, brochures needed and to send out to other entrepreneurs, as well as have an opportunity to connect with other organizations. And also she's had an opportunity to connect and to participate in expos. So she's been able to increase her business exposure, as well as being able to teach a class on creating gift baskets at the DR Center. So we call that a win-win. And so it has been success with this technical assistance clinic, and we want to continue in those efforts and provide our entrepreneurs with as many resources to start and grow here in the city of Norfolk. Did anyone have any questions?
That was great, LaShonda and Chantel. We greatly appreciate it. If you can't tell, they really do care about what they're doing and about small businesses. So a lot of our base in neighborhoods is civic leagues. So we may not have a lot of business people here, but we do hope that you'll share this information with businesses in your neighborhood and entrepreneurs. They have a great website. And if you get in touch with them. They'll do everything they can to help you out or point people in the right direction. They are great people, and they're the experts locally. Mr. Charles, go ahead.
What is the website? I didn't get the website. I'm sorry.
I just put it in the chat, startgrowbiz.norfolk.gov.
Okay, thank you, LaShawn. Okay,
You're welcome.
thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I'm going to put up our standard poll for Neighbors Building Neighborhoods Academy. If you don't mind taking a minute before we finish to fill that out. Are there any other questions for anybody? Any other comments?
Hey, this is Nikki.
Okay.
I just wanted to make guys, I just wanted to make a quick comment. We were talking about, it's nice to hear all the past stories and current stories and all the great work that people have been doing in neighborhoods. And I think that personally for me, one of my highlights working in our division was bringing our leadership breakfast to the historic Garretts Theater that we had in 2020. It was our most well-attended breakfast. And I think it was really nice to see civic leaders come to an historical venue that they probably have never been able to go to. So it was nice to be able to give that perspective to folks from all across the city. That's one of the highlights that I was able to be a part of with my team. I just wanted to share that there's, just like Mr. Johnson was saying and DJB was saying and Mr. All the other folks on the panel were saying that there are special places all throughout Norfolk, and if you take the time to take a look at it, it's great to experience them. So hopefully we'll have another leadership breakfast in person at some point, and it'll be in another historic or prolific place across the city. So if it's something that you're interested in, we would want you to join us on that too. But it was great. And I was actually at the Garretts Theater for a performance that they had about Lady Day on Saturday, and it was awesome. It was really nice. So just shout out the Garretts Theater. It was nice. It's a nice venue.
Thanks, Nikki. And of course, we want you all to support our local businesses, in the ways that we spend our money. So that's the other big takeaway we want you to support our local businesses. All right, I think that brings us to the end. Thanks again to, I see DJB and Keith. I think Troy's left us. But we do appreciate your time and all that you've done, Chantel and LaShonda. Thanks again for giving up your evening. We'll put this online and make it available if you want to share that with some of your other Civic League people. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great evening.